What do I want in my ultimate guitar? I'd been thinking about this for years. For years, I had one electric guitar, a Yamaha Tighter Bore signature model. It could do everything I want sound-wise. Very comfortable, 11 pickup combos, wide fretboard, and very ergonomic. There was a number of things I didn't like about that guitar. This included tuning stability. It would go out of tune just bending. Wilkinson tremolo plus normal nut and locking tuners meant it would go out of tune more than I like. The whammy bar wasn't really usable. It didn't have 24 frets, and 24 frets is what I wanted, and I wanted something that was neck through and not bolt on. So I started doing some sketches, and the first idea I hit upon was doing a 7-string RGX TT with 24 frets. It would have a Goto floating bridge, and it would have gold hardware. Then I thought about the neck design, and then I thought it needs to have a bird's eye maple fretboard, and maybe also needs to be multi-scale as well, because that's more ergonomic. So if I want this to be my guitar for life, I want it to be sustainable and would play on it for a long time. After seeing String Pluckery on 7string.org and the fact they were trying to make their first model, I liked what I saw with their first kind of Strandberg style. And lately I've been listening to a lot of Kuiper, and the guitarist from Kuiper, who was also the guitarist from Nocturnal Rites, uses true Temperament fretboard. I'm someone who's obsessed with proper intonation, so all my guitars have either a compensated nut or a compensated locking nut, or if they don't have that, they have a sound offset spacer, and that's to make sure it's got really nice intonation all over the neck. So the idea of true Temperament came along, and I thought about it for a few months, and I still wanted to have a floating tremolo, so I decided it needed to have a floating trem that was capable of multi-scale, and I decided on an Apollo Music Parts trem. In the meantime, I'm doing a lot of 7-string pickup tests to narrow down the kind of pickups I want. And the thing that kept coming over and over again was a kind of hot paff sound that was my favourite sound. Something like the Al Di Meola or the Bare Knuckle Juggernaut. And I just happened to have a set of Bare Knuckle Juggernauts. And while I was playing my RG7 420 so many tests, I became really comfortable with just having 2 pickups and having a 5-way switch. After this experience, I didn't really feel like I needed a 7-string single coil. Also, you don't have much choice in single coils, especially noises. And with the funky switching on the 7-string Ibanez, I was able to get noiseless and quite close to single coil tones using parallel and combining different coils between the 2 pickups. Now that I had an idea of what I wanted, I decided to talk to String Pluckery and see if they would be willing to make this guitar so I could finish it off. I'm not the kind of person who is difficult to work with, and I've worked with luthiers in the past, and I've said to them, don't do anything you're not comfortable with, don't change anything, don't go outside what you normally do, don't invent new tooling. But String Pluckery was really great and able to help me with anything I wanted. The biggest issue at the start was that they didn't have the neck combinations I wanted, such as a Sage orange and the length that I needed to make a neck through guitar. And I really did want a neck through guitar, but with the choices and just wanting to get it done, I decided on a bolt-on guitar. Using a Sage orange, and then some of my other wood choices weren't available, but I'm very easygoing, so I was just like, yeah, whatever you got lying around. So in the end, it was decided to have an Sage orange neck and the 5-plane neck, true Temperament fretboard, and having a quilted maple top that I could stain and refinish, as that was my favourite part of making guitars, is doing the finishing. Now, I did spend a lot of time looking at some combinations for a neck through wood, but after talking to String Pluckery, my option settled on a more simple arrangement, and all they asked for was 50% of the payment, and they would start working on my guitar assembly. When I started thinking about this guitar, I didn't have any ideas about what I would use for bodywood. I really wasn't bothered, and they had some black limber lying around. They were developing their own unique shape of guitar, and I wasn't too fussed on the shape of the guitar, so I just went with whatever they got. Originally, in the first quote, they weren't even going to attach the fretboard, and it was just an extra $100 for them to do it, and they put in the truss rod and carbon fiber rod, so I thought it was easier for them to do. than to have me, a total noob to finishing and building guitars, do it. I don't have the equipment and the space in my shed to do that. I previously got a quote for True Temperament fretboard about 18 months ago, and when I went back to refresh the quote, a lot of things had changed. So no longer were they working out of the States through True Temperament USA, they were working out of Sweden. I put a quote through the website and didn't hear anything. The only contact email was this guy who was their marketing guy, so I approached him and put an inquiry through on the website. After a lot of toing and froing, he came up with a quote and sent me a PayPal invoice, and I ended up paying about $1,000 Australian delivered for the True Temperament fretboard in multi-scale with my choice of fretboard wood. Now, there are a lot of things in their website they say they do, such as inlays and shape of the inlays and how many frets, etc., but I never got asked about anything about the inlays. So when the fretboard arrived, I got String Pluckery to do the fretboard inlays in Luminlay green and also do side dots. While I was going back and forth with True Temperament, String Pluckery was sending me some fantastic prototype drawings, and also they made a 3D model that I was able to spin around, explode and change the colours. This is a semi-acoustic guitar, so it's got a massive sound hole in the top panel. The original plan was to have a condenser mic in the sound hole, as a lot of old Yamaha acoustics have a dual pickup setup. They have a piezo under the bridge and they have a condenser in the hole. Now, I knew I wasn't going to get a piezo tremolo multi-scale bridge under this thing, so I thought I could do away with the piezo and just go with the sound hole condenser. Originally, I wanted to use my Rode condenser mic, and I'm going to post results of that in the sound test, but originally the plan on getting that acoustic sound along with a blend knob, looking up the Rode mic, required 3 volt voltage minimum, so I'd need to chuck a battery in there somewhere. By now, I'd paid the True Temperament charge and I was waiting for them to start the build process. True Temperament frets are not cut, they're cast, so I imagine there's a lot of work in filling and the frets on the board, and I could see how it would take a while. While I was waiting for the fretboard update, the woods arrived in California. I was able to see them, and String Pluckery sent me a picture of the woods just to make sure I was happy with them. I was looking and waiting for all this to happen. I was looking at pickup options and after trying 100 pickups on a 6-string and about 5 sets on a 7-string, I had my eye set on a set of instrumental SFTY4. This is purely because this wasn't a solid body, and I really like the string separation you get with the SFTY4. And my original plan for colouring as well was going to be gold hardware with the purple stained top, so instrumental pickups had some great options for that. I really didn't expect things to move that fast, but over the next 4 weeks or so, things happened very quickly. I got all the progress shots from String Pluckery, including the gluing up and the planing. A question as part of the design process was slanted or straight pickup holes, and after seeing the Strandbergs and their pickup holes, I figured just to go straight and make it easy. I've had slanted pickups in the past, and custom ordering them also limits your options as well as far as range and timelines go. The limiting factor in terms of the slanting is actually the tremolo. So this Apollo Parts tremolo has a flat base, so it doesn't matter how angled you got the pickup, you would still run into the base plate of the tremolo when you tried to get closer to the base 7-string saddle. I waited so long on this project that the Apollo tremolo became out of stock, so there was no longer a gold option. So I had to make a few decisions about styling. I contacted Apollo and they weren't going to have a gold one back in stock anytime soon. So then I wanted black instead, but unfortunately, even though it said black was in stock, they weren't actually in stock when I went to order them directly from Apollo. My only option left was silver. It's been about a month by now since paying the PayPal invoice for True Temperament and hadn't heard anything on progress. No pics, no emails, nothing like that. Then I got news 4 weeks after placing the order that they were all on summer holidays and they hadn't done jack on my fretboard. This was very frustrating, but that's Swedish holidays for you. It was time to make a decision on the sound hole for the quilted maple, and I had a couple of designs floating around because String Pluckery is a heavy user in CAD and CNC. They were able to dream up some crazy things, but I just wanted something that aligned with my name and my family so I wouldn't forget, so I chose the Union Jack. Part of the building a semi-hollow guitar is the need to think about the carve, especially on the back. And because I wanted to fit some stuff inside the hollow body, I really didn't have the space to have a belly carve on the back, so it's flat there. That's just something to keep in mind when you're building your own custom guitar. While we were building the first in the world Strandberg, actually came out with the Salem True Temperament Jazz 7-string, which would have been a dream guitar if I had $6,500 to spend. But also, it didn't have a tremolo, so we were still getting all the bases covered on my wish list. Finally, 9 weeks after ordering the fretboard and paying for it, we got confirmation the fretboard was going to come in. That's when I ordered the tremolo from Apollo and sent it straight to the luthier in California. When I was ordering from Apollo, I decided to make everything else chrome. So I bought chrome knobs, chrome tremolo. I was going to buy the chrome locking 7-string headstock piece, but they only had black in stock, so I got black on top. As I wasn't having gold pickups anymore, I chose to use my trusty 7-string set that I'd already tried out in my Ibanez RG7-20, which I absolutely love. One thing you think about when you look at the True Temperament fretboard, especially in the multi-scale, is it has a 0 fret. So any locking has to happen behind this 0 fret, so it's slightly different. The nut is just a guide for the strings, so String Pluckery made one from scratch. While I was thinking about that, I was also thinking about wiring options and pickup switching. I've loved the 5-way switch in the Ibanez, so I wanted the exact same in the new guitar. It was going to have 3 pots. It's going to have a volume pot. I was going to have a tone styler tone pot to give me lots of different tone combinations, and the third one was going to be a blend knob with the microphone in the from the condenser mic part. Another thing I was curious about was the phantom powered active pickup. So we worked on the dimensions from the website to try and fit that in there. A couple of advantages of using a titanium: they'd give a unique phantom powered boosted active sound to the magnetic pickups, and also they would provide a voltage if you wanted to boost any condenser mics on board. So for example, that 3 volts needed for the Rode mic. As we were coming close to the end of the project, knowing the final figures, the costs came out to less than 50% of buying the Strandberg made in Indonesia guitar, and that included everything: custom neck, custom fretboard, custom body, built in America. And this is a guitar that's probably going to last me for the rest of my life. So I like the knobs from the Apollo Music Parts website. They have a hole in the top so you can put in your own inlaid material and get it to match whatever you want. So in this case, I got String Pluckery to cut and insert quilted maple tops, and I was going to dye them to match the top of the guitar. Another interesting part of the String Pluckery design is you have the jack in the top part, so you don't knock it while you're playing. It was about this time I realized how much they've actually customized for me on this build, which is amazing. I don't think I would have got this service from any other luthier in Australia or from any other one overseas for this price. So being a young and growing company, being agile, being able to take feedback was fantastic for me, especially on my first build. They sent me a shot of the neck construction as it was being built, some thick rods of carbon fibre in the neck to make sure everything all stays straight and true, and also how they routed the truss rod. I love the look of the lace wood in the neck, and I also liked how thick the fretboard was on the True Temperament fretboard, which looked absolutely stunning in photos. The maple top is 6.3mm thick, so there's a lot of stuff to play with in terms of sanding it back and staining. They also used aluminium to do the cover plates, and it's a 6-bolt design neck. Prior to finishing the finishing, they sanded to 240, so I'd have no problem getting it ready. Then they decided to go up to 320 just to make it easier for me. The back of the neck, the body and the fretboard wasn't going to be sanded or stained, just finished straight away. Earlier we talked about how Apollo tremolo requires a body that's a minimum 45mm thick. Well, the thickness of this guitar body is 38mm thick. So as a result, the block and the locking mechanism was sticking out about 10mm from the body. So basically had to make a choice here. Do we leave it hanging out the back, or do we add the shim? Together we decided to put a shim in the neck to balance everything out. They then sent me the final pick, everything all assembled. Part of the send back process was dismantling it into 2 parts so I wouldn't face some crazy freight charges, and also so I can just throw it together when I got it back over to my end of the globe. This package only took 6 days to get here, which is fantastic, and I was super excited to start finishing it. Oh, I've been waiting months for this, for the string pluckery package to arrive from the United States. It comes in 2 separate packages, and that's due to the freights and duties in Australia. It all came in one giant thing. Might be susceptible to duties, etc., and taxes. Arrived in just a few days, which was great. I think I paid for it last Friday, and it arrived today, Friday after. Candy in here. Some candy. Whammy bar. Do not eat. Do not throw away. Okay. There's more receipts and stuff. Well, hey, hardware. So knobs, trim stabilizer, neck screws, locking components for the strings. Oof. Seen about 1 million pictures of this, but it's the first time I'm going to see it in the flesh. Ooh. Neck is still not finished. I'm going to have to spend the next few days finishing it. Oh, so keen. I don't want to scratch anything. I just want to seal this neck, put a coat of oil on it. Oh, lordy. Oh, lord. Look at those frets. It's insane. Shrink wrapped and bubble wrapped. Oh my lord. Let me chop the top off. I mean, it is a headless guitar, like, this can have a headstock break in there. Oh my lord.
Stainless steel frets, multi-scale, Apollo instruments, locking nut. This neck is unreal. Lumen lay side dots, lumen lay front dots. And this isn't finished. This is just sanded to 320 and then chucked in the bag. Amazing. I hope that wasn't me with the scissors. This is a special fretboard option from True Temperament. You have to pay an upcharge. Choose your own wood. You can just choose them, send them your old neck or send them whatever wood you want and they'll work on it for you. But I did it all hands off. And then String Pluckery added the what do you call it? Added the dots side and the front. There are some cracks in the fretboard. I don't know if you can see that. I'll have to fill them in just with something. Maybe some maple dust. Yeah. Some bit of flaming in the neck as well as bird's eye. And yeah, this purple heart. It's pretty lively. Asage orange. It's beautiful. It looks almost symmetrical. There's your truss rod hole. No goodies, no goodies, no goodies, no goodies. I was like cocaine. Like, you know, cocaine. Sexy. Read it. Sure you all wanted to spend 3 minutes watching me fight with some plastic. Well, people, Kardashians, they're not plastic. That is a nice top. Semi-hollow with a tremolo on there, multi-scale tremolo. No idea how it works. Routed for 2 humbuckers, 3 knobs, volume, tone, blend for a mic that is going to live in there. Look at this top. It's really playing in the light. Can't wait to stay in this. again, sanded to 320. So smooth. Back will just be sealed. And then oiled. The edges are quite sharp. Don't know how I feel about that. I like how these edges are soft. Maybe I will just take the edge off those, and because this looks beautiful. If you look here, where the edges are rounded off and you got the two different grain patterns like playing off against each other, that's beautiful. And then this is like so hard. Yeah. Lovely. Now all these, this is not magnetic. This is magnetic. Anodized purple cover plate. This is magnetic. Oh, bit of peeling there. I don't mind. We're talking, and it was his first go at anodizing things as well. Must have just had a bit of a tear out, but that doesn't bother me at all. This is just a bonus. I thought I was getting some boring cover plates. And I've got my Apollo Music Parts trim stabilizer in there. I've also bought a second one just in case I do need more than one. So this is ready to be finished. This is where the two bits of the body would meet. They dip a bit of a different grain pattern in between the two, but who cares? Lots of space in there for goodies. See the chambering. And the top is quite thick. I mean, if you look at it in the cross section, it's got to be 5 or 6 mils.